Captain Du Yun. Kim stared at the large window of his ship's bridge. The endless darkness of space stretched out before him, broken only by the soft purple glow of the nebula ahead. His ship, the ESS Pathfinder, was small compared to most space vessels, but it was perfect for exploration. That's what they did. They found new things in space. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Dr. Hae-Yun Park from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the glowing screen in front of her. The energy readings from the nebula. They're not natural. Du Yun turned his chair to face her. Hae-Yun was the best science officer he had ever worked with. If she said something was strange, it usually meant they had found something important. "What kind of energy is it?" he asked. "I'm not sure," she replied, frowning at her screen. "It's like nothing I've ever seen before, but it's steady and strong, too steady to be natural." The bridge was quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. In space, anything that wasn't natural usually meant someone had built it. And out here, so far from human space, that could be dangerous. "Show me," Du Yun said, walking to her station. The screen displayed a complex pattern of energy waves. He didn't understand all the science, but he could see why it caught Hae-Yun's attention. The pattern was too perfect, too regular. "Should we call it in?" asked Lieutenant Ji-Won Lee from the tactical station. His hand rested near the weapons controls, ready just in case. Space exploration was usually peaceful, but they had all heard stories of ships that disappeared while checking out strange signals. Du Yun thought for a moment. "No," he decided. "Not yet. Let's get closer first. We need to know what we're dealing with before we alert command." He returned to his chair and pressed a button on the armrest. "Engineer Choi, how are our engines?" "Running perfectly, Captain." Tae-Sung Choi's voice came through the speaker. "We can go wherever you need." "Good. Take us in, helm. Nice and slow." The Pathfinder moved forward carefully, entering the purple clouds of the nebula. The gas was thin here, letting them see fairly well, but they still moved slowly. Their sensors worked overtime, checking for any dangers. "Energy reading is getting stronger," Hae-Yun reported. "Whatever it is, it's big, really big." Minutes passed slowly as they pushed deeper into the nebula. The purple gas swirled around their ship, creating beautiful patterns. But no one was looking at the beauty right now. All eyes were fixed on their screens and the space ahead. Suddenly, Ji-Won sat up straight. "Captain, metal contact ahead, distance 50,000 kilometers. On screen," Du Yun ordered. The main screen lit up, showing a zoomed image of something in the distance. At first, it just looked like a dark shape in the purple gas. But as their computers cleaned up the image, everyone on the bridge gasped. It was a ship. But not just any ship. This was bigger than anything Du Yun had ever seen. It was long and dark, with smooth lines that spoke of advanced engineering. Even from this distance, they could tell it was massive. "Size estimate?" Du Yun asked, his voice barely a whisper. Hae-Yun checked her readings. It's 15 kilometers long, Captain. Maybe more." The bridge crew looked at each other in shock. The biggest human ships were barely 2 kilometers long. Even the mighty warships of the Rican Empire only reached 5 kilometers. This was something else entirely. "Any signs of life?" "Power readings?" Du Yun asked. "The energy signature is coming from inside the ship," Hae-Yun said. "But I'm not detecting any life signs. No movement, no active systems. It looks dormant." Du Yun leaned forward in his chair. This could be the discovery of the century. A ship this size, with technology they had never seen before. It could change everything. But it could also be incredibly dangerous. "Take us closer," he ordered. "But be ready to jump out at the first sign of trouble." The Pathfinder moved forward again, and more details of the massive ship became clear. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, but perfectly smooth despite its obvious age. There were no signs of damage, no space dust, nothing to show how long it had been here. Look at the design, He-Yun said excitedly. Those lines, those angles, they're almost human. Do-Yun saw what she meant. Despite its alien size, there was something familiar about the ship's design. It didn't have the organic curves of Rican ships or the geometric patterns of other alien vessels they had seen. Instead, it looked like someone had taken human ship design and perfected it. I'm detecting an opening, Jai-1 reported. Looks like a hangar bay, big enough for our ship to fit inside. Do-Yun stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. The massive ship filled their view now. The hangar bay Jai-1 had spotted was clearly visible, a dark rectangle in the smooth hull. What do you think, everyone? He asked his crew. Do we go inside? He-Yun spoke first. Captain, this technology could be thousands of years ahead of ours. We have to investigate. It could also be a trap, Jai-1 pointed out. Or there could be automated defenses we can't detect. The energy readings are stable, He-Yun said. Whatever's producing them has been running steadily for a very long time. I don't think it's a trap. Do-Yun looked at the ship again. His 20 years of space exploration had taught him to be careful, but it had also taught him that the biggest discoveries came with the biggest risks. We'll do it, he decided, but we do it carefully. G1, keep our shields at maximum and weapons ready. He-Yun, record everything. If something happens to us, I want command to know what we found. The crew worked quickly to prepare for docking. Do-Yun watched as they approached the hangar bay. The opening was perfectly preserved, like the rest of the ship. As they got closer, lights suddenly came on inside the bay, illuminating a massive space that could have held dozens of ships their size. The lights, He-Yun said, checking her readings. They turned on automatically when we got close. The ship knows we're here. The Pathfinder entered the hangar bay slowly. Their floodlights joined the bay's lighting, showing clean metal floors and walls. There were markings on the walls, symbols that looked strangely familiar. Those markings, He-Yun said, zooming in with the cameras. Captain, I think they're numbers, human numbers. Before Do-Yun could respond, more lights came on throughout the hangar. A soft humming filled the air, the sound of ancient systems coming back to life. Multiple power signatures activating throughout the ship, He-Yun reported, her voice excited. It's like the ship is waking up. Do-Yun felt a shiver run down his spine. They had found something incredible here, something that could change everything they knew about human history and technology. But as more systems came online around them, he couldn't help but wonder. Had they found this ship, or had it been waiting for them? Lock down our position, he ordered, and get ready to send a message to command. Tell them, he paused, looking at the vast space around them. Tell them we found something impossible. As his crew rushed to follow his orders, Do-Yun looked up at the massive ceiling of the hangar bay. Somewhere in this giant ship were answers to questions humanity had never even thought to ask, and they were about to start looking for them. The lost Dreadnought had been found, and nothing would ever be the same again. The message from command came just as they were preparing to explore the giant ship. Lieutenant Jai-1's console lit up with a red warning light, and his face turned serious as he read the incoming transmission. Captain, he called out, his voice tense. We have a problem. Do-Yun was checking his spacesuit one last time when he heard the worry in Jai-1's voice. He walked quickly to the tactical station. What is it? The Rican Empire, Jai-1 said, pointing to his screen. Their patrol ships picked up our signal when we contacted command. They're coming this way. Do-Yun felt his stomach tighten. The Rican Empire had been humanity's enemy for decades. They were stronger than humans in almost every way, with better ships and more advanced weapons, if they got their hands on this ancient ship. How long do we have, he asked. Jai-1 checked his calculations. 3 hours, maybe 4. They're sending 5 warships. Dr. He-Yun Park looked up from her workstation. Captain, we can't let them have this ship. The technology here, it's beyond anything we've ever seen. In Rican hands, It could mean the end of human independence. Do-Yun nodded. She was right. But what could they do? Their small exploration ship couldn't fight 5 Ryukin warships. They couldn't move the giant ship either. They barely understood how it worked. Options, he asked his crew. We could try to destroy it, Jai-Won suggested. Use all our explosives to damage the key systems. Hei-Yun shook her head quickly. No, this ship is too important. It's not just the technology. Those symbols we found, they're definitely human. This ship could tell us something important about our history. Then what do you suggest? Jai-Won asked. We can't fight the Ryukins, and we can't move the ship. Hei-Yun stood up, her eyes bright with excitement. Maybe we can, Captain. Remember how the ship responded when we entered the hangar? How systems started activating? I don't think that was an accident. This ship was waiting for humans. Do-Yun thought about this. It was true. The ship had seemed to welcome them. But could they really hope to control something so massive and advanced? Engineer Choi, he called over the ship's communication system. What do you think? Is there any chance we could power up this giant ship? Tai-Sung's voice came back quickly. I've been studying the power readings, Captain. The main reactor is still running, just at very low power. The systems we've seen activate, they're like a computer waking up from sleep mode. I think we could wake up more of it. Do-Yun looked at his crew. They were all good at their jobs, the best he'd ever worked with. But what they were thinking of trying was incredibly dangerous. One mistake with a ship this size could destroy them all. How do we do it? He asked. We need to find the bridge or a control room, Hei-Yun said. The symbols we've seen are like old Earth writing. I might be able to read them, figure out where we need to go. I'll go with you, Do-Yun decided. Ji-Won, you too. Tai-Sung, meet us at the airlock with your tools. The rest of you, stay on the Pathfinder. If anything goes wrong, take off and warn command. They put on their spacesuits quickly. Even though the giant ship seemed to have some power, they couldn't be sure about air or gravity in other parts of it. Better to be safe. The 4 of them walked through the airlock and onto the floor of the massive hangar. Their boots made soft clicking sounds that echoed in the huge space. Up close, the walls were even more impressive, smooth metal that looked brand new, not ancient. Hei-Yun walked to the nearest wall and studied the symbols there. These are numbers, she said excitedly. And these, she pointed to other marks. These are directions. Look, they're showing us where different parts of the ship are. They followed the symbols through huge corridors. Everything was built on an enormous scale, making them feel tiny. More systems came to life as they walked, lights turning on ahead of them, like the ship was guiding their way. The bridge should be this way, Hei-Yun said, pointing to a large elevator ahead of them. These symbols mention command and control. The elevator worked perfectly, carrying them up through many levels of the ship. When the doors opened, they found themselves in a massive room with windows looking out into space. It was a bridge, but bigger than anything they had ever seen. Look at these control panels, Tai-Sung said, running his hand over a nearby console. As he touched it, the surface lit up with soft blue light. More panels began to activate around the room. Amazing, Hei-Yun whispered. The technology is so advanced, but the layout is similar to our ships, like someone took our designs and made them perfect. Suddenly, Jai-Won's suit radio crackled. Captain, the Ryukin ships, they're moving faster than we thought. New estimate puts them here in less than 2 hours. Do-Yun looked at his team. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now. Hei-Yun, can you read any of these controls? She moved quickly between the glowing panels. Yes, some of it is like very old Earth languages. This section seems to be about power, this one about engines. She stopped at a larger panel. And this, I think this is the main control system. As she studied the panel, something unexpected happened. A soft blue light filled the room, and a voice spoke. It wasn't human, but it wasn't like any computer they had heard before either. It sounded almost alive. Human presence detected. The voice said in perfect, simple Earth language. Genetic match confirmed. Welcome, descendants of the builders. They all stared at each other in shock. The ship wasn't just responding to them. It was talking to them. I am Sentinel, the voice continued. I have waited 15,000 years for the return of human beings to this vessel. How may I assist you? Hei-Yun stepped forward. Sentinel, she said carefully, we need your help. Enemy ships are coming. Powerful ones. We can't let them take control of you. The Rican Empire, Sentinel said. Yes, I have been monitoring their communications. They are not permitted to access this vessel. Only humans may command the Legacy. Legacy? Du Yun asked. Is that this ship's name? Yes. I am its guardian. The Legacy was built by your ancestors as both a weapon and a repository of knowledge. It seems that knowledge is needed once again. Du Yun looked out the huge windows at the purple nebula beyond. Somewhere out there, 5 Ryukan warships were racing toward them. They had less than 2 hours to learn how to control the most powerful ship ever built. Sentinel, he said, can you teach us how to operate this ship? Quickly. Yes, Captain Du Yun Kim. Your neural patterns are similar to those of the builders. The Legacy systems will respond to your commands. Shall we begin? Du Yun looked at his team. They all nodded. Whatever happened next would change the course of human history. They had to be ready. Yes, he said. Show us everything. As Sentinel began teaching them about the ship's systems, Du Yun thought about what was coming. The Rican Empire had no idea what they were about to face. For the first time in a very long time, humanity had a chance to stand up to their enemies. The race against time had begun. Sentinel's blue light pulsed gently as it taught them about the Legacy systems. Hei-Yun worked quickly at the main control panel, her eyes wide with wonder as she learned more about the ship's incredible technology. The builders, she said, looking up at the glowing presence of Sentinel. They were humans. From Earth. Yes, Sentinel replied. They achieved greatness long before your current civilization began. The Legacy was their finest creation, built to protect humanity and preserve their knowledge. But what happened to them? Ta Sung asked. He was working on understanding the ship's enormous engines, his hands moving across control panels that responded to his touch like they were alive. They faced a threat, Sentinel said, its voice becoming softer. A threat that still exists in the dark spaces between stars. The builders knew they could not defeat it directly, so they created ships like the Legacy, hiding them across the galaxy, waiting for their descendants to find them when they were ready. Du Yun wanted to ask more questions about this mysterious threat, but a warning signal interrupted them. Ji-1 rushed to a tactical display that Sentinel had activated for him. Captain, the Rican ships are getting closer, he reported. They'll be here in 40 minutes. Show me the Legacy's weapons, Du Yun ordered Sentinel. We need to know what we're fighting with. The air filled with glowing images, displays showing the ship's defensive and offensive capabilities. What they saw was amazing. The Legacy had weapons that made their most powerful ships look like toys. These are quantum phase cannons, Sentinel explained. They can fire through normal shields like they aren't there. And the Legacy's own shields use technology that bends space itself. Can we operate all this in time? Du Yun asked. We've only had an hour to learn. The Legacy was designed to bond with human minds, Sentinel said. Your thoughts and instincts will guide its systems. You already understand more than you realize. Hei-Yun nodded excitedly. It's true, Captain. The controls. It's like they know what I want to do before I even touch them. Tai-Sung called from his station. Main engines are responding perfectly. This ship may be huge, but it can move like something a tenth its size. Du Yun felt it too. Despite its enormous size and advanced technology, controlling the Legacy felt natural, almost easy. It was like the ship was part of them, an extension of their own bodies. "Sentinel," he asked, "why did you wait so long to reveal yourself? Why not contact humans as soon as we reached space?" "The legacy could only be found by humans who were ready," Sentinel replied. "You had to prove yourselves capable of deep space exploration, and you had to prove you would use this power wisely. How did we prove that? By your first actions upon finding this ship. You were curious but careful. You sought to understand rather than control. You showed concern for the consequences of your discovery. These are traits the builders valued." Suddenly, Jai-1's voice cut through their conversation. "Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The Recon fleet is here." On the huge bridge windows, 5 shapes appeared in the purple gas of the nebula. The Recon ships were impressive, each one nearly 5 kilometers long, their hulls covered in the organic curves their civilization was known for. "They're hailing us," Jai-1 reported. Du Yun straightened in his chair. This was the moment that would change everything. "Put them through," he ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, you have entered restricted space. Our sensors detect you have discovered an artifact of significant power. You will surrender it to us immediately." Du Yun looked at his crew. They all nodded, ready to face whatever came next. "This is Captain Du Yun Kim," he replied. "This vessel belongs to humanity. It was built by our ancestors and has chosen to accept our command. We will not surrender it." There was a pause before the Recon voice returned, angrier now. "You lie. Your primitive species could not have built such a ship. You have 10 minutes to power down your systems and prepare for boarding, or we will destroy you." Sentinel's blue light pulsed stronger. "Captain, they are powering up their weapons. Their technology is advanced by your standards, but it is simple compared to the Legacy's capabilities." "Show me what this ship can really do," Du Yun said. The bridge came alive with power. Displays showed every detail of the Recon ships, their weapons, their shields, their weak points. The Legacy's systems had already analyzed them completely. "Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields," Sentinel reported. "Their fastest missiles would appear slow to our defenses. Should I demonstrate?" As if hearing this, the Recon ships fired a warning shot. A bright energy beam struck the Legacy shields. On their tactical display, the attack looked like nothing more than a tiny spark against an ocean. "No effect," Heyun reported, smiling. "Their most powerful weapons can't even make our shields flicker." The Recon commander's voice came again. "This is your final warning. Surrender or be destroyed." Du Yun stood up from his command chair. "This is our final warning to you," he replied. "Leave this area immediately. We don't want to fight, but we will defend ourselves." The response was immediate. All 5 Recon ships opened fire, filling space with energy beams and missiles. The Legacy's shields absorbed everything without strain. "Should we return fire?" Jai-1 asked, his hands over the weapon's controls. Du Yun thought for a moment. They had incredible power now, but how they used it would be remembered forever. "Sentinel, can we disable their ships without destroying them?" "Yes. The Legacy's weapons can be precisely controlled. We can target their engines and weapons without risking their crews." "Do it," Du Yun ordered. "Show them our power, but let's prove we're better than they are." The Legacy moved with impossible speed for something so large. Its quantum phase cannons fired 5 times, each shot passing through the Recon ship's shields like they weren't there. Within seconds, all 5 enemy vessels hung powerless in space. "Their engines and weapons are disabled," Sentinel reported. "Their life support and other essential systems remain functional." The bridge was quiet as everyone realized what had just happened. In less than a minute, they had defeated 5 of the most powerful ships in known space, and they had done it without taking a single life. "Captain," Heyun said softly, "I'm detecting thousands of transmissions. The Recon ships were broadcasting everything that happened. The whole galaxy just saw what the Legacy can do." Du Yun nodded slowly. "Good. Let them see. Let everyone know that humanity is no longer weak. but also let them see that we choose to be merciful. He opened a channel to the disabled recon ships. This was a demonstration, he said. Your ships will regain power in 1 hour. Enough time for us to leave. Remember what happened here. Remember that humans built this ship, and there may be more like it. And remember that we chose not to destroy you when we could have. As the recon ships floated helplessly in space, Du Yun turned to his crew. Plot a course for Earth, he ordered. It's time to show humanity what their ancestors left for them. And it's time to prepare for whatever threat the builders were running from. The Legacy's engines hummed to life, and the massive ship began to move. Behind them, the nebula glowed purple in the darkness of space, hiding whatever other secrets it might contain. Ahead of them lay a future that no one could have predicted. The age of humanity had truly begun. The journey back to Earth took 3 days. It would have taken a normal ship 3 weeks, but the Legacy's engines were far more powerful than anything humanity had built. During this time, Du Yun and his crew learned more about their amazing ship and the people who had built it. He Yun spent every moment she could with Sentinel, learning about the ancient humans called the Builders. They weren't so different from us, she told Du Yun during one of their meetings. They made mistakes, but they learned from them. They built the Legacy not just as a weapon, but as a teacher. What do you mean? Du Yun asked. They were sitting in what they had discovered was the Legacy's library, a vast room filled with holographic displays showing the history and knowledge of the Builders. Look at this, He Yun said, touching one of the displays. Images appeared in the air around them, showing Earth as it had been 15,000 years ago. The Builders faced many of the same problems we do: wars, environmental damage, resource shortages. But they solved them all. Sentinel's blue light pulsed gently as it added to He Yun's explanation. The Builders understood that technology alone was not enough. They needed wisdom to use it properly. That is why the Legacy contains not just advanced systems, but also the lessons they learned in creating them. In another part of the ship, Tai-sun was studying the Legacy's engines with growing excitement. The ship's power systems worked in ways that seemed impossible, yet made perfect sense once understood. It's like they took everything we know about physics and added 10 more layers to it, he explained to his engineering team. But they left us notes explaining every step, so we can learn it too. Jai-Won spent his time in the weapons control room, but what he learned there surprised him. The weapons aren't just about destroying things, he told Du Yun. They're designed to protect, to disable threats without causing unnecessary harm. The Builders believed that true strength was knowing when not to use your power. As they got closer to Earth, Du Yun received countless messages from human leaders and military commanders. News of their victory over the recon ships had spread quickly. Everyone wanted to know about the Legacy and what it meant for humanity's future. Captain, Sentinel said one evening as Du Yun watched Earth appear on their view screen, growing larger by the hour. There is something important you should know before we arrive. What is it? The Builders did not just leave one Legacy. There are others, hidden throughout the galaxy. Each contains different knowledge, different technologies. They are waiting to be found when humanity proves ready for them. Du Yun thought about this. Like a trail of breadcrumbs, he said, leading us to become something greater. Yes, Sentinel agreed, but also preparing you for what is to come. The threat that caused the Builders to hide their ships, it still exists. It sleeps in the spaces between galaxies, waiting. The Builders believe that their descendants would need to be ready when it awakens. What exactly is this threat? Du Yun asked. I cannot tell you everything yet. Such knowledge must be earned, not given. But I can tell you this, it is not like any enemy you have faced before. It does not think like living beings think. It does not want what living beings want. The Builders fought it to a standstill, but could not defeat it completely. Before Du Yun could ask more questions, He Yun's voice came over the ship's communication system. Captain, you need to see this. In the library, He Yun had found something new in the Builders' records. Look, she said, pointing to a star map floating in the air. "These points show where other builder ships might be hidden. And this," she touched another control, and new images appeared. "This shows what they were building before they disappeared." The images showed enormous structures, rings around stars, cities bigger than planets, machines that could move entire solar systems. They weren't just trying to fight the threat, He-Yun said excitedly. They were preparing to change the galaxy itself, to make it safer for all life. But they ran out of time, Sentinel added. They had to hide their work, preserve it for future generations. For you. As the Legacy entered Earth orbit, Du-Yun looked down at his home planet. From up here, it looked small and fragile. But he knew now that humans were capable of amazing things. They just needed to remember who they really were. Ships from Earth approached the Legacy, hundreds of them, small compared to the ancient Dreadnought, but representing humanity's first steps into space. Du-Yun opened a channel to speak to everyone at once. "People of Earth," he said, "what we found in that nebula wasn't just a powerful ship. We found our heritage, our true history. The Legacy isn't just a weapon or a piece of advanced technology. It's a message from our ancestors, telling us that we are capable of incredible things." He paused, looking at his crew, He-Yun with her endless curiosity, Tai-Sung with his technical brilliance, Jae-Won with his growing understanding of true strength. They had all changed during their time with the Legacy. "But with this discovery comes responsibility," he continued. "The Legacy's power must be used wisely. Our ancestors left us more than just advanced technology. They left us their wisdom, their lessons, their hopes for what we could become." Sentinel's light glowed brighter as Du-Yun spoke. "There are more ships like the Legacy waiting to be found, more knowledge to be learned. But we must prove ourselves worthy of each discovery. We must show that we can use power without being corrupted by it, that we can grow stronger without losing our humanity." The responses from Earth were overwhelming. People everywhere understood that everything had changed. The Ryukan Empire, once so threatening, now sought peace talks. Other alien civilizations that had looked down on humanity now wanted to be allies. But Du-Yun knew this was just the beginning. Somewhere out in the darkness between galaxies, an ancient enemy waited. The builders had prepared humanity for this moment, leaving them the tools and knowledge they would need. As he looked at the planet below and the stars beyond, Du-Yun smiled. Humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. They had found their legacy, remembered their true history, and discovered their potential. The lost Dreadnought had changed everything. But the real change had come from remembering who they were, the children of builders, explorers, and dreamers who had touched the stars long ago. And now it was time to touch them again.